I was going to do another Monday Madness, but I decided to put what I thought was a more fitting title. So I've mentioned before that when I talk to my best friend, we have some pretty interesting discussions. And he's a really decent person to just kind of get ideas off of, like to just talk to and get you to think of something in a way you might not have thought about it before. And one of the things we were discussing was how, and I mentioned it during the stream I did on Saturday, but it's this idea that people, be they employers, those in your personal life, there just seems like there's a concentrated effort for them to, if not be the direct cause something doesn't work, um, contribute to it as much as they can. So, for example, if you hire someone and you know that they've never done this type of work before, but you promote yourself as needing people, which is why you have your little help wanted, sign. Um, and then when the person starts to work for you, it could be a few days in, it could be a few weeks in, you start to meticulously look for any issue you can have with this individual and cite it as the reason why they should be gotten rid of, or have someone else cite this as a reason to get rid of them. Because I mentioned before that during the upcoming shift for today, um, I believe if it wasn't, the reviews online, it would just be something else. And I believe this because when I spoke to the manager, they complained about, me not putting in some records for COVID shots, which they stopped mentioning after like the first 2 or 3 days I was there. And they complained about me not using the radio to say who was in the store, who wasn't, which I was never told I had to do. Because I know that they have security cameras, and it's just it's stuff that's never been mentioned before or barely mentioned, which is like icing on a cake, and that's why it convinces me that even if it wasn't this thing, it would just be something else. Um, you go back to the experience from last year with the insane manager, um, and having a person threaten to fire you on your first day of doing these things that they knew you didn't know how to do before they hired you. And it's that same thing of like, you employ people, you offer to them this idea that with your company they can, you know they always like talk about growth and leadership and change and whatever, but to be able to become accustomed to doing these things, um, and then you in such a short amount of time, remember it's always a couple of days or weeks, are talking about getting rid of this person that you just took on. It's so counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense if you adopt the cynical view, and I think it's one that has a lot of merit, which is why I do adopt it, that um, people hate to see a man succeed, which is why when they hire someone, um, give it a couple of days, that's when, or a few weeks, they start to look for anything they can to slight this person over and blow up, metaphorically, of course, to such an extent as to use it as the motive for wanting to terminate them. You look at these customers that went on there and they cried. And I always say that I am not sympathetic toward people who are not sympathetic toward me. So if you have some new employee that maybe doesn't know where something is, maybe, you know, makes some kind of error, but they, genuinely seem to be trying to assist you. I just think it's really disgusting to go online and try to besmirch them for any type of error or, grievance you may have. Which is why I've never done this to an employee that, tried to help me, even if they didn't know where something was or made a mistake. But that's why I said people love to see a man fail. They hate seeing a male individual try to do something and gradually learn it and become better at it. They hate that. It drives them nuts because they don't like seeing other people do well, which is why they have to play a direct part or or be a contributing factor in trying to get that person reprimanded and ultimately gotten rid of, which is the case with today. It's so funny that I always have people who, like come online and they try to because when they're doing the chick stuff, they do the little character analysis like, oh, you're a bad person because random women don't like you, even though they don't like any damn body, which is why there are whole groups of men that have the exact same issue. But I swear, I've never tried to get someone fired from their job, and I've had instances where maybe I thought somebody didn't respond to me as nice as they could have been. Maybe someone didn't know where something was, which was the case with myself a few weeks ago. And I don't have the vindictive because I guess the way I look at it is if someone speaks to me in a store I barely go in for like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm not going to remember that throughout the entire day or the following week and like try to go after them for an interaction that wasn't entirely and that's why I said I started to like just rack my brain when I was trying to blame myself for it because this person got what they wanted, admits that you weren't mean to them, they're actually mean to you because they write in their review that you didn't seem too bright. um just complete rudeness, right? But they get away with it because they're the customer's always right, so they can get upset with you because you'll know where something is because nobody besides them buys it anyway. um, and you're the one that faces the repercussion for their crybabiness. It was really funny to have people say, "Oh, you don't. Every stream is about chicks." I said, "No, that's not true. It's just people like to discuss this, and sometimes it has a place when it's part of a larger narrative." Um, Going back to the conversation between me and my friend, so we can connect these things together. He talked about how wanting a girlfriend, hell, even a wife, even that's like way more commitment, or a child, or having a 9 to 5 job. These are all things that millions of people have done, right? Millions of men have done. And these are all things that are very, that are considered normal, right? Like it's not some great groundbreaking achievement to have someone go on a date with you, or at least it shouldn't be. Um, and I said to him, I can live with the idea of like, let's say running for office and then you don't win, because most people who run for office don't win. I could say to myself that it was a combination of people not knowing who I was, because as you know, the more well known you are, the higher your chances. People, low voter turnout, which is another issue we have with local elections. But I can't understand how just as a society, whether you're an employer or one of these chicks, you've taken things that used to be simple for men to get, like a 40-hour-a-week job or a date or any of these types of things that men have done over and over and over again for literal centuries, and just made it so impossible. And I guess that's why I try to say that people hate men or they have an issue with men, because the way I look at it is there's a concentrated effort to always make it the fault of the person who's experiencing, at least when the person is male. I told you about the story of the dingbat with the baby, where you know this person gets themselves impregnated by this guy, and then you have a woman who's never even met her trying to defend her and say she probably had a hard life and all this other tragic backstory BS to make up for her creating kids that she can't afford on purpose. But when you see people who are telling you, the person that keeps trying to get a position or keep a position, all these different nasty things. Oh, you're not qualified. Oh, what did the guy say on Saturday? That's a life, bro. Just gotta get better at the job and adapt. You know that there is a push to never be sympathetic toward men. And that's why they write this stuff and they type these things and and in some instances say these things because they don't want to ever believe that the man did everything he was supposed to do and didn't get the result that was befitting of his efforts. And I said, just think of this situation. If you have to apply to dozens of places, let's just throw out a number. Let's say you apply to 60 places, 60 different jobs, right? Let's say one place you apply like 10 different positions just to get maybe like three interviews every couple of months, maybe get hired at one place every year or so. That's insane. Especially when you remember that these businesses put up help wanted signs like there's no tomorrow. And if you believe that someone who gets hired somewhere by a manager who knows they don't know how to do any of these things should be threatened with termination by the end of their first week and on their literal first day of doing those things, I think you're insane for believing that as well. If you look at the women's situation, I've always maintained that there's a certain amount of effort that's just not worth it when it comes to chicks. If you have to speak to such a large number of them that you forget the number, if you have to sign up for multiple different websites because in real life the ones there also don't show any interest in you, that's absolutely absurd. But this goes back to my thing of how people expect so much effort from the same person that they're going out of their way to try to castigate. Because you better believe if you go and talk to some woman for let's say a month, 2, 3 months, which I've done before, and then out of nowhere she's like, "Well, I don't think we have a connection. I think we should talk to other people." In spite of her saying all this different stuff about how much she liked you before, nobody's going to take your side. No one's going to say she led you on. They'll just tell you to get over it and try with another one, or they'll blame you for it not turn out the way you waited too long. Just always your fault. Because again, people hate men and they hate it when men succeed. That is their worst nightmare when men actually are able to do something. And it's crazy because these are basic things. It's not like you're trying to become get 100,000 subs on YouTube or a million. Like goddamn, you're so filled with derangement syndrome toward other men that you think it's right for them to have to apply to 30, 40, 50, 60 different places just to get an interview. And then you think it's okay for them to get hired somewhere just to get fired a couple of days or weeks later for not knowing how to do everything on a job they just started after being hired by people that they were honest with about the fact they'd never done this stuff before. Again, it's literal derangement syndrome. You can't justify this. Men, and in some cases, get sprinkled in some chicks too, hate other men so much that anytime something bad happens to one of us, we immediately go to blame that person. We don't know what the situation was. We don't know what the facts were. We just create fan fiction to fulfill our narrative. Oh, this person doesn't have a job because they're lazy. Why did they apply to all these different places? Oh, this person um got fired because they deserved it. Okay. You're telling me that you would get rid of somebody 5 days into a new position on their first day of doing that stuff because they didn't know how to do it immediately correctly within 1 week of being there? You see what I mean? There is a weird derangement syndrome that a lot of guys online and a lot of chicks have as well when it comes toward this inability to have any type of sympathy or empathy toward men. That's why most homeless people are male. That's why most people that kill themselves are men, because people hate us for whatever reason. Well, honest, we addressed that during the chick segment. We'll address that a little bit more. Last year I was contemplating, and I wrote a script for it, but I didn't finish all of it. Making a video called "When did being straight become a sin?" And I was talking about how just when I look online, I read some of the stuff people put on here. It almost feels like there's a concentrated effort to just like if you're a guy that's attracted to chicks, to just make your life as miserable as possible when it comes to being attracted to them. Like you should just say to hell with it. I mean, and I'll give you a couple examples. You have guys online who will say, "Oh, just keep approaching, just keep trying, just keep trying." And you have some chicks that'll encourage that too. At the same time, you can go on Twitter, Instagram, any one of these other stupid websites, and you'll see some woman saying, "Oh, I hate it when men approach me. It's so annoying when men try to talk to me." And you're like, "Well, hell, do you talk to the same group of people who are complaining when men approach them, or do you not approach them and then get blamed for being single when, it's not like they're incapable of going up to someone and saying they're interested in them. They just don't want to. So basically, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you approach them, you're annoying them. If you don't approach them, you get blamed for being single or like for them not being interested, which usually they're not interested even if you approach them, which is why there are so many groups of guys that talk about how hard it is to get a date. Because remember, the most simple things now are turned impossible or overtly difficult for no reason. And you look at a lot of the demeaning comments that people write. Like, what would I look like if some woman made a video where she talked about, and you'll never see this, but let's say there was a woman that got rejected by men, right? And she was like, I tried very hard. I tried to understand them. I tried to talk to them, so I was interested. They told me they liked me as and I was like, I had a connection with them, all this stuff to lead me on, but didn't go any. Imagine if in response to that woman's video, I go, oh, you didn't get a date with the man because you're too ugly. Oh, you didn't get a date with the man because you don't go to the gym. Oh, you didn't get a date with the man because you're not wealthy or live in a mansion or drive a sports car. You would say, what the hell is wrong with this person? Like, wouldn't I seem ridiculous for imposing all of these insane standards on this woman as if every single guy she asked out was just because remember we talked about this before how I never put up a single woman's picture out of all the ones I ever approached, not once. And you had these guys who, because of their derangement syndrome, because they hate sympathizing with other men, accused me of approaching chicks that were out of my league. In spite of never seeing what they look like, not knowing what they owned, just again, fan fiction. Because you have to convince yourself I did something wrong for this to happen to me. It's the just world fallacy, rearing its ugly head again. I'll give you a good example of the just world fallacy. About 20 something years ago, there was a woman that was murdered. And I was talking about it with my one of my relatives, my older relatives. And they said something that really disgusted me. They said that she was we know that she was the second wife of this man, that supposedly she would call him and like got him to leave his first wife, which I don't know how. I guess she's like Professor X. She mind controlled him. And as I was just sitting here listening to this stuff, which I didn't even believe anyway, I'm like, even if all of that is true, that doesn't support someone being murdered outside of their house and stabbed up so much to where their head almost is ripped off. It's like, again, just world fallacy. Oh, she was a bad person anyway, so she deserved to die. Just it's a real thing people have where if they believe they can pull enough in either infer enough nasty stuff about you or cite whatever example they know is true or not, they can justify it to themselves why something bad happened to you. Banana, or I'm sorry, Kotsky Merchant. It's kind of funny because YouTube and Twitch are like the polar opposite of each other. So Twitch is basically people being jealous of each other over the number of viewers they have because you can only watch one person at a time when they're live. Whereas YouTube is literally designed so that you can support multiple people at once. That's why you subscribe to multiple channels. You can watch videos 24/7. It's really funny how like those two sites have such different beliefs and like you have people that are on both. Like I would never go on Twitch because I don't like the idea that I am in such a competitive circumstance as to try to fight other people to get their viewers, instead of them. But that site is like living proof of wanting to see other people fail or, not succeed because it's designed and set up that way. There's an entire section of YouTube people post videos about minimum wage workers and talk trash about them for clout online. I like to call it gossip porn. It basically is. It's just people demeaning somebody else to make themselves feel or look better. We had this conversation that when you look at all of the nasty, gross, disgusting, rude comments that have been written um, about the romance stuff by these guys that they feel like they can just say whatever they want to you. None of them have whether they give unsolicited advice or they're just talking trash. Not a single one of them over this like 4 or 5 year period has ever shown proof that they were with a woman, that they've ever seen a vagina outside of a porn website or some magazine. And it's like the reason I even bring that up is when you have people who accuse you of things, right? Oh, you probably did this, you probably did that. Anything we can say to defend a thing back. You can't expect me to then take your word for it on what you say about yourself because you're going to demand a bunch of proof from me to support my claim, but then I'm supposed to believe you because you typed something on the computer. See how backwards that is? But none of these guys have ever shown proof they're with a woman. And like I said, I am not at all attempting to make fun of somebody for being single. I'm the last person that would do that. But don't sit here and act like you're so much superior to another person and have no proof to back it up. Society purposely hinders straight masculine men. They just want us to be plumbers and work dangerous jobs. We can never have it easy. I just want fairness. Oh my God. The thing about these different jobs is that they tell you during the interview, oh, there'll be some things you don't like. So sure, I can name different things I didn't like about both of them. At the one from last year, I didn't like just having to keep running back and forth to prepare food, and again, the very uncomfortable mask that you wear for hours on end while you're sweating. Just to where it even fogs up my glasses. Like it's just all that stuff was uncomfortable. The current one, a lot of the customers can be belligerent or rude or nasty. Not all of them, not even the majority of them, but there are multiple instances of this happening. They can um, just seemingly say whatever they want to you without any type of repercussion. But even then, it's like you put up with these, like you are adult enough to understand that if you want something, there are certain things you don't like about it, but you're still willing to put up with those things you don't like to get to receive the incentive. And the incentive for working is always getting paid. With chicks, I don't like approaching so many of them to where I lose count. I don't like talking to someone for weeks or months, just for it to go nowhere. Um, I don't like being told, "Oh yeah, next year it'll be different," even though it was the same thing the year before that and the year before that. Next year, I swear. And that's the biggest issue I have with the chick stuff, that there's no incentive for large amounts of effort. I remember one clown, he wrote that you give your like oh, just because you do these things we advise doesn't mean you'll meet a woman in 3 months or 6 months or a year, but give yourself the best chance. Like, dude, again, going back to me liking fairness, you will never see a single woman, whether I have 2,000 subs or 200,000 subs, be told that she has to go to the gym to impress me, become wealthier to impress me, become famous because they're not held to the same standards in the slightest. Like this dude actually, and that's why it was so funny during that stream. And I don't know if James remembers it. He was there. You know, chicks will never have as hard of a time getting attention from men as the other way around. And they'll never be told to do all of these extraneous things just to get a date. which is why it's so disingenuous to act as if the things they do supposedly to make themselves look better or make themselves more impressive are anywhere near as astronomically ridiculous as the stuff men are advised to do. This guy actually said, would you date a woman with armpit hair over one? It's like, dude, I've never seen a single guy turn down a woman because she has hair under her arms. I've seen men date chicks that were homeless. They didn't have a pot to piss in. That like hell, I've actually I can barely name any like basically all the chicks I've seen get a date. They don't exercise. They're not overweight, but they're not in shape. Like that's why I said they don't have to do anything other than have the holy triangle. And it's just like they actually sit here and believe this stuff. God, it's so sad that people are so antagonistic to you. People you've never done anything to, people you have not caused any type of personal turmoil in the lives of, that they expect you to perform extraneous tasks for the sake of getting something as trivial and as minor as a date with, which like I defined before, it's only a one-time thing, or it can sometimes be an only one-time thing for on one night for an hour or two that the person doesn't like, they never have to do again. And I always hinge, like put this hypothetical up. Imagine going to the gym for months, asking out chicks for years, and getting like a sports car or whatever, just to get a woman to go on a date with you for one night, and then she's like, "All right, I don't want to do this again. It was fun, but I'm good." How pissed off would you be? But that's why I said they want so much out of you for nothing. You know, imagine living in a society where you actually have people who think getting a date with a woman is supposed to be a years long arduous quest where you have to appeal to them in every way, but besides their gender, they don't have to appeal to you in any way. Well, Akatsuki Merchant, we mentioned how chicks are allowed to be different from each other and always have a man that's interested in them. You can say it's because of male desperation. You can say it's because I do believe men are not as picky as chicks are. I've said that before. And I think that's very strongly supported by the fact that there are no large groups of chicks sitting around and talking about how it took them years to get a date. Um, but it's so sad that chicks are not inherently better than men. Like the way people treat them, you would think you committed a crime. Oh, this woman, you don't want to ask her out anymore. There's something wrong with you. You need to try harder. You're like, what has this person done that remotely requires me to be their damn slave, to be strapped to them forever? Remember, men got mad at me online for just saying I didn't want to talk to him anymore. You can talk to him if you want to. I'm just not interested. That was enough for them to, enter an uproar and get pissed off and angry and, write all kind of, in some cases, write paragraphs. Well, like I said, it's people like I said this before. Feminism is a joke, and a lot of chicks want equality when it benefits them, but they don't want it if it doesn't benefit them. So, for example, um, when you have people who tell you, "Oh yes, you're supposed to own this and own that to get a date with a woman, but she doesn't have to own anything other than what's in between her legs to appeal to you." What's fair about that? And we talked about this before. It's like, if things were fair, why don't chicks approach men? Why aren't chicks being told that they have to do extraneous tasks to appeal to us? And I swear to you, every time somebody comes on this channel and says, "Oh yeah, women have to do things too," it's always a joke. We had some bimbo who wrote that they had to wear high heels and makeup. I went through 4 years of high school, never saw, and every chick I saw that had a date, because the schools I went to, that stuff was banned. Didn't wear makeup, didn't wear no damn high. It's like who believes in this stuff? Like when they write it, it almost sounds like a parody. Like something I expect to see in SNL, like some spoof. Like, oh yeah, chicks have to do things to appeal to men too. They have to wear this stuff that you never see them wear, but still end up getting a man anyway because they actually have to wear this stuff. No, they want feminism when it appeals to them, and they want traditional values when it appeals to them as well. So the man is supposed to earn more, right? Have his own place, yada yada yada. But approach the chicks as well. But you want us in our belief of things being fair to be okay with dating someone who's not rich or someone who doesn't have their own place or being the one that asks the guy out. Oh, yeah, right. It's just such a joke. They get attention. Well, look, I didn't say like that. I'm repeating what she said. I thought it was stupid because, like I said, I've never in real life seen men go, "Oh yeah, I like this woman, but she doesn't wear makeup, so I'm not interested." I've never seen that at all. Hey James, you remember the phrase I told you about? The juice is not worth the squeeze. I'd like to know one person who thinks it sounds appealing at all to ask out a group of people year after year, um, in some cases, talk to them for weeks or months, get the same result over and over again, and then get blamed for things staying the same when you were the one person trying to make a difference. I always question if people are really listening to what you're saying because they always say something that doesn't make sense. Well, it's not really about trying to have a legitimate conversation. It's just people who want to be contrarians and who do believe that men are supposed to be women's slaves, that we're supposed to just be tied to them forever. Like when I was talking about the different chicks where if they don't respond to me for 3 weeks or a month or whatever, I get rid of them. You have people on here who think that you're supposed to just put up with this woman ignoring you forever. Like you're their slave. Because you know damn well that if there was some woman I was talking to and I stopped responding to her for weeks on end or for a month, people and she decided she wanted to unfriend me or cut it off after that, nobody would blame her. Nobody would say, I can't believe you didn't understand that he was busy. It's like, yeah, nobody believes that someone who wants to talk to another person in 30 days can't send a message saying hello or respond back and say, how are you? Like nobody believes that. No one is that busy. It's like what a joke. But see, that's why I said that, there's a consistent distaste for men and a belief that we are supposed to just put up with everything that happens to us, shut up about how it affects us, and carry on. They believe this. They think that one group is supposed to just get everything right, and then you get nothing, and that's supposed to be appealing to you. You get your time wasted, you get rejected over and over, you get slandered on the internet by people who've never met you, you get accused of having standards that are too high. um, you get attacked over your physical appearance or your personality by people who've never met you, by men who are supposed to be straight. It's like, what about that sounds appealing? Oh, I've said before, I think a lot of those guys that defend chicks are mentally ill. Like, it's so ironic to have people tell you that there's something wrong with you because a woman doesn't like you back. There are plenty of chicks that are insane as well. So, like when they became the arbiters of who's like mentally stable and who isn't, I'll never understand. But it's really funny because if you like, just the way they act. Okay, for example, and I'm sure Akatsuki Merch remembers, there was a user who wrote several paragraphs to me on a video in March without me saying anything to me, arguing with my mods. And then, like in these paragraphs, he's talking about I'm all these different negative things. And he's done watching me self-loathe, which I never talk about disliking myself or I'm bad or anything, So I don't self-loathe, but whatever lie he puts on there. And then like he comes on my stream a few days later and seems to have made amends. But already it looks weird because you said you weren't going to watch me anymore, and then here you are on my stream a few days later. And for like 5, 6, 7 months, he just keeps watching someone who he claims is all this different bad crap, lacks introspection, and it's like, how mentally ill do you have to be to watch a person who you say is not good? But you know what? I wasn't surprised, and that was the main reason why a lot of these people I don't get rid of, because every time they talk about me in a disparaging way, and they like as if they're not going to watch me anymore, or they've like made this discovery, they keep coming back. I don't watch people who I think lack introspection. I don't watch people who make points I don't agree with or that I think are bad or whatever. Like it's weird. They are mentally unstable. Like you're a guy, you watch a video of another man talk about hard to get a date, and then your response to his points is to talk about the way he looks, and that's not weird or something wrong with you. Told you no other group is like this. Like what kind of debate is that? Somebody makes points you disagree with, and then your rebuttal is to talk about the way they look. So I said something's wrong with people online, man. And yeah, they're mentally unstable. They're very nasty. Um, they believe that men are second class citizens compared to chicks. Shown so much evidence and examples that's been going on in his life, and they still say, "Nah, you're wrong." Right, but their way of contesting the evidence is to just say, "We feel like this. We feel like you could have done this or you could have done that." Um, I remember we had the one clown who commented on the video where I played the audio of the chick that was saying all of the explicit stuff just for her to like be reluctant to just schedule another call, which is why I ended up unfriending her. And he's like, "You are way too young to." It's like, what the hell does my age have to do with the fact that you had a woman sit here and say all this explicit crap, and then I'll follow up on it? But that's what I was talking about when I said, if you can't have any legitimate debate on this stuff because people don't respond to evidence with opinions that are objective. They just pull something out of their behind. I have lost count of how many people, when I tell them about how screwed up the chick stuff is, eventually you will find someone that likes you, which I don't believe. Because if eventually actually meant something, what happened already? But even if it hasn't, let's just roll with their hypothetical. Who the hell, like, again, how screwed up does a society have to be for a man to approach? Like, do you understand how preposterous, how Alice in Wonderland it sounds to tell a man that asks out 90 plus chicks, "Oh yeah, they're not interested in you," but then eventually, some year at some point, a random woman will like you. Even though we know, remember, go by the facts. We know that most chicks do not approach men, even if they find them attractive, because they're scared, they're pansies, they're afraid of rejection. And you want me to believe this, that you will be approached or meet someone that likes you back, even though it looked that way multiple times before, just for the bastard to do a 360 or play the red herring game of, oh, I thought I liked you, but I wasn't actually interested. I got you. No, people hate logic. They hate evidence. And then it's like you look at a lot of these. What did he say? If you wait years and years, eventually you'll probably assume that a woman came because of hidden motives. Well, see, that's the point we were making. Like the trajectory of men to get a date is literally based on what's a good word for it? Like countdown to extinction. Like if you ask a man, do you want to date someone who only likes you because of what you own or what you possess? They would most would probably say no. So if you're telling someone that they have to own a bunch of stuff or become famous or develop muscles, whatever, to get a date, none of which reflects their personality, we can infer that you probably don't actually care about that person if you're only interested in them after they do these different things that aren't reflective of their personality. But see, that's why I said there's just a weird push to lead you down a path that'll screw you over. Do you want to date a gold digger? Do you want to be involved with someone who sees that you're like getting attention? And I always thought the like fame thing was so stupid because most people are not famous. Like that's a fact. Most people are not rich. It's like why do you have to do these extraneous things just for a date? And people justify it to themselves. They think it makes sense. It's sad that we live in an era where that this is considered normal. I got rid of that person because I get tired of being asked the same stupid question every time I do a stream. How old are you? How tall are you? Like just like I'm done. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Um, and every time you answer it, it just seems like somebody else comes around and asks the exact same thing like 2 weeks later. So I'm good. Oh, hey, let me do the thing we did. I care so much about you. That's why I don't watch any of your videos or comments on your streams ever. But please answer my questions. I know some people in real life who are like that too. Where they will just ignore somebody like year after year, month after month, and then like pop up out of nowhere and pretend to be so interested. Like I talked about that one person that one of my relatives left a package for at my house, and then they came over here and they're like, how was your birthday, and how was this? It's like, and I'm just and I basically said to him, whatever, yeah, because I was thinking to myself, if this mattered so much to you, you wouldn't have to ask this stuff when you're coming to pick up some crap for your kid. You would actually call me and ask this, you know. Like their concern for you is circumstantial. They don't actually give a hoot. They're just asking stuff to make conversation. So I said we're all just tired of these guys, but they are pretty similar to the chicks. Like feigning interest. Like a lot of chicks will talk to men that they're not interested in romantically, just because they're bored or they want attention. We showed proof of the one broad that got 50 guys to message her. It's like, you know, you're really gonna sit here and tell me that that's a person I'm supposed to believe I have a chance with when she has, what is that, like 10 basketball teams worth of guys trying to speak to her? Because we discussed how, like, when you want to see a man fail with that romance stuff, you always leave out the external factors, like the things that he objectively has no control over, like how many other guys talking to this broad. What stuff does she even find physically attractive? I said before, there are certain chicks that I don't think are pretty or hot or anything like that. So even if they were acting in a nice way, I still wouldn't be attracted to them. The only difference is I wouldn't sit there and talk to them for weeks or months and lead them on, because I'm not a scumbag like some of these chicks are. But you know, they always like to leave out, when you talk to one of these broads, like how many other guys are they speaking to? Because it is counterintuitive to their narrative, because to them it's always your fault. So to acknowledge that she's speaking to other men and that some of those men might be more appealing than you is to also admit that that was something you couldn't control, because you can't control who else she speaks to, but they don't want to accept that. So they will, ignore it for the sake of peddling their narrative. If only you had done this. You should have tried that. You'll probably assume that a woman came because of hidden motives. I tell you, we already have examples of that. Like I had a broad a couple years ago try to ask me for a shout out. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I had another one from some foreign country trying to get me to pay for her stuff. I was like, are you out of your mind? Yeah, people got so mad over the hooker video, but like I at least with them, they're honest about the transactional nature of your relationship with them. At least if you know that if you pay them a price to do something, they'll do it. Name a hooker that you had to talk to for 3 months to get her to go on a date or to come to your house. Exactly. I said before, when I was talking to my best friend, I was like, man, they're so lucky. I'm not like wealthy or anything, because I would never even put up with regular chicks after that. Like every time I wanted to do something with a woman, whether it's going on a date, intercourse, whatever, it would always be with a hooker. Because I just think sitting there and talking to somebody week after week, month after month, and then you still don't get what you want is stupid. It's like it's dumb when you consider that there are ones you can pay a price to, and then they'll do it. Minus all the backstory and dialogue and red herring and whatever. Yeah, they're just a really sad saga. You know, it's just so I truly do believe that romance, at least if you're a straight guy, just almost has nothing beneficial about it. And the only reason I even did the hooker video is because I was just saying, if I don't think that someone should have to wait 5, 10, 15 years to go on a date or to have intercourse, especially when chicks do it with all kind of guys they're not even with, anyway. Dude, that was always the funniest counterpoint to that video. People are like, well, hookers have diseases because they have been with multiple men. It's like, do you really think none of these regular chicks that are, supposedly not hookers don't have diseases or don't sleep with multiple guys? Like, really? Like, you're gonna sell that narrative of them being like these little nuns that Oh man, if you believe that the only chick that only chicks that are hookers sleep with multiple men that they're not in relationships with, I have a bridge to sell you. That is the funniest conclusion I've ever seen. But like I was saying, I just think that if you're a certain age and you can pay for this stuff and you want to experience it, have at it. Like I don't. You're not going to see me fault someone for being denied something year after year through the means that most people claim you should do it, which is like go out and ask chicks out and talk to them and get to know all this different stuff that goes nowhere. And then they say, hey, look, to hell with the filler. Let me just pay this person a price and they'll do what I want. I don't have it see any issue with that at all. You know, and I don't get where like that's why I said it's people believing that men are chicks slaves because you're supposed to just put up with stuff from them year after year, right? And anytime you show it could be frustration, it could be anger, it's considered a bad thing. And you're told that you should feel ashamed for believing things or or believing certain stuff. And it's weird too, because it's like when you have guys who are saying to a man that makes a video where he just talks about how hard it was to get a date, right? He's not calling anybody out of their name. He's not like angry. He's just depressed over getting the same result over and over again. This man is going to blow up a building or shoot up this, and it's like, what do you think you're doing writing that kind of crap? Do you think you're encouraging that person to keep asking chicks out? No. You're just providing more fuel to the argument that talking to them and not succeeding with them, um, there's nothing beneficial about it. Akatsuki Merchant says, "Yeah, women are so pure. That's why they have unprotected sex and get pregnant with babies they don't want." Dude, we talked about this before. We have proof that there are chicks who, if they date a guy for more than like a month, they'll just stop wearing a condom. Like they'll just no protection at all. If they get knocked up, they get knocked up. Like imagine being with somebody for like 30 days and now I'm ready to make something that's going to last 18 years and longer with you. Couldn't be me. I tell you, these guys don't even like, they are nuts. Like, I just, you know what? It's even more funny when you just consider like, no one ever talks about the purity of men. Like, oh, uh, men don't go around asking out. We're like, no, people admit that men in general will cheat on a woman or, um, you know, rape somebody, just all kind of like unpleasant, disgusting things, right? It's like, yeah, chicks do that as well. But the difference is one group, everybody knows they do screwed up stuff with the other gender. And then with chicks, they sit here and they put them on this high horse and act as if they're gods among men who are so pure and they only ever date guys that are like the most amazing, nicest, decent human because like that's why I had the joke that they date the world's finest men. And it's like you can't sit here and act like getting with a woman proves you're this great, amazing person when I have plenty of examples of chicks that have boyfriends trying to speak to me. And how weird it is. It's like don't sit here and gas up guys that have a broad as being like the holy grail of manhood when the woman is still seeking out other men to talk to. You get how that doesn't really work? Like, oh yes, if you're not with the woman, you're subhuman or mediocre man, whatever little stupid stuff these guys say. But then if the woman is with a man and she's trying to speak to you, the man who is supposedly worse as a human being than the guy that she's with, by the fact that you are single while this guy is not. You see, like it doesn't. So I said people just say all kind of weird stuff online, and unfortunately, get a number of individuals to believe it. No, every time I do a stream, they come on here and they start turning into a Q&A. Do you have a girlfriend yet? How old are you? How tall are you? Where do you live? Do you like long walks on the beach? Do you wear black socks and like the baseball team, the Red Sox? Do you want to go with a date with a? Do you want to go on a date with a hoe, or sit on the couch and smoke some Marlboro? Like, just get out of here. They ask so many, and remember, it's always people. Like, this is the contradiction to me. When people start asking like all those different questions, it seems like 9 times out of 10, it's someone you've never seen before. They never come to your stuff, and it's like you're asking this stuff like you actually care or are interested. But if you were, you would show up. You would actually watch the content of the person that you're trying to get all these answers out of. They say the dumbest stuff on the internet and pretend it's so profound because they sanctimonious delusions of self-importance. Well, see, that goes back to that stream we did. It was called Diminishing Returns, where you had a guy. Here I am talking about a video game, right? And this guy, I've never seen him before, comes to my stream, starts calling me racial slurs, saying if he saw me in real life, he'd beat me up. Those internet tough guys, and is like trying to accuse me of being a loser. And I'm like, that is the funniest term to call me when you're on my channel writing stuff to me to get my attention and seeking me out. And again, it goes back to that self-importance thing, because if he was a winner, we would know who he was. When he showed up on my show, everybody would say, "Oh my God, look, it's him," But no one knows who he's, because most people are not famous, and unfortunately, a lot of these guys that come on here and try to make themselves sound so good and like they're together because they claim they got a date with the woman or they know how to get a date with the woman. It's like, get out of here, get over yourself. You don't see me trying to sit around and belittle somebody for not getting a date. Like, yeah, welcome to modern society where you can find whole groups of guys talking about how hard it is to get a date with a woman. And you're gonna sit here and try to belittle me over something that all these other men experience. Good luck. No, it's self-importance, it's self-righteousness. Like, oh, look at me, I wrote this stuff to you. Like, all right. But I do think that a lot of chicks just are very like apathetic and antagonistic toward men as well. Like, I think if I were to go around speaking to a bunch of chicks I'm not interested in for weeks and months, and I'm telling about how, oh, I feel like we have a connection, and you're so this, and you're so all keeping all this praise, and then they ask me, they're like, oh, I'm not interested. It's like, yeah, you wasted this person's time. Dude, the funniest thing is watching people pretend that chicks have any standards they have to adhere to. Because every bad condition a woman can be in, I've seen somebody be in that position and still get a man. Like, seen a homeless chick get a man. Women that don't have jobs get a man. Like, who? Like, women don't have cars. Like, who believes that they have to do anything other than be their gender to get appeal from, at least? Because I always said, yeah, there are some men that have standards, right? Like, I'm not interested in dating a woman that's overweight. But in general, they can have a thing that would objectively be considered not as appealing as something else, and they'll still end up finding someone who likes them back. So it's not the same. But yeah, people expect a lot out of you for very little, just in general. Like, we were talking about the employment earlier. It's just in what a couple of weeks learn this stuff that these people still make mistakes on, and if a handful of people go on the website and cry about you, they can get rid of you. You know, I think it's screwed up. And I do think a lot of these employers have unrealistic fantasies about the type of people they hire. Like, you know, you can't put up a help wanted sign making it look like you're so desperate for some new person to show up, but then you're getting rid of someone what a couple of days or weeks after you hired them. Yeah, a lot of stuff that used to be simple just got turned into an impractical mess. Like, you know, every time I ask an older male relative, did you have to ask out 30, 40, 50 chicks to get a date? They look at me like I'm crazy. They don't recall going on any websites and, you know, having to speak to somebody for weeks or months just for her to say she's not interested. You know, like no one had to deal with this stuff. That's why I said I feel like there's some component of modern society that really takes pride in making things as difficult as they possibly can be. So, you know, oh, you want a 9 to 5 job like everybody else you know has? Don't worry, just apply to 200 places, and then after you get hired by like 5 or 6 different places and get fired from them after like a couple of weeks or days for not knowing how to do everything immediately correctly the way we wanted you to, you know, then you might find somewhere that actually, you know, doesn't have such a ridiculous standard that nobody can live up to, which is why we put the help wanted sign up. I'm telling you, man, that really is like a new camouflage tactic for these employers. Like, put up a help wanted sign and get people to think you need them, and then after you have for a few days, like, you thought we needed you, got you. I want to make that like a movie. Like, there used to be some movie called Help Wanted, and it's about like an employer that like some manager that is ridiculously harsh and extreme and just insane, and every like 2 or 3 weeks he gets a new guy or two new guys to work for him, um and then he barely gives them any hours, right? Then he's surprised and they don't know how to do stuff in a couple of days or the first day of doing it. Then he gets rid of those people, then he brings in some new people, and then he gets rid, like, that's all they do. And remember, that sign really does lower your guard. Oh, they need me because, you know, they're saying that, and, you know, they're talking about help wanted. Like, oh, I guess not. That's why I said they remind me of these chicks because on like Reddit, they used to. I don't know if they still have the R for R section where it's like female. It's like F for M, female for male. A lot of chicks were like that too. Like, they post all their little bio stuff. I want someone to talk to. All this trash, and then it goes nowhere, and they end up having like that was the joke we had. And that, again, this goes back to more stuff of and proof of how guys don't get any attention from chicks, but chicks get all this attention from men. I remember this one chick put up the R for R thing, and I started talking to her, and then she mentioned having 19 other guys that she was talking to, and I was like, all right, I can just disappear, and you can pick from one of them. And then she's like, oh no, don't stop speaking to me, and then tried to friend zone me later on when she got with some guy in real life. But then if you're a man posting in the if you post man for female and stuff like the other way around, right? Nothing. It's a ghost town. It's a barren wasteland. Because chicks are not struggling to get men. They aren't. And the only chicks that have a little bit of an issue with getting with guys are the insane ones. Like, seriously, most of the chicks on those dating websites, they're single for a reason. Either their standards are too damn high, or they're like there's some like they don't even, you know, I said before, I think some chicks are like I'm not gonna say lesbian, they're like asexual, like they're just not attracted to, what's the term? It's either, is it A, where they're like not attracted to anybody? That because like they get asked out by guys all and no one is ever good enough for them. Dude, I would love to, like, as a social experiment, because I don't know if it's still there, like, make an R for R as a chick and then make one as a man and just see the difference. My inbox will be orange all day long if it's the chick, and then the guy is just empty. You see a little tumbleweed. Oh my god. No, I think a lot of those chicks on those dating websites are crazy. Like they have something wrong. Like I'm just gonna say this. Yeah, it's asexual. I realize that. Thanks. Um, I think the guys that go on dating websites are for the most part normal because, like I said, I know plenty of guys in real life. They get no attention from chicks, so they feel like the internet's their last resort. That's how I was too. But a lot of the chicks on those sites, I think there's something wrong with. Like I think they go on there for there's like a couple of theories. They go on there for attention, for men that they're not actually interested in being with, right? Because they do like all these different guys going, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, you know, or they don't like anybody. Because again, it's like they get asked out by all these different guys, and nobody is attractive enough for them to want to be with them. So I think it's one of those two things. They're doing it either for attention or because they're just not attracted to anybody, which is why they go online because in real life they can't find someone that they think looks good or is because let's I'm just going to cut through the BS. People love to say that it's men that are obsessed with the way the partner looks or like that's a big component for them and that chicks care more about personality and security and all this other fable crap. But I mean, like I always believe that somebody knows who they're attracted to when they first see them. Like I can see a chick and for the first time know if I find that person attractive. Like it's you don't need weeks or months of talking to someone just to go on a date. You know, there doesn't have to be this elaborate background, like just all this preamble. I tell you, people give all the like they stereotypically give chicks good traits and stereotypically give men bad traits. Like, oh, all men care about all men do is true. I remember this one website I was on. Was like this chick was like, "All most men view women as sex objects." I'm like, right? What the hell do they view men as? A piggy bank? I told you, man. They like chicks. It's so funny seeing them do the victim mentality stuff, and they get everything they want. They like. I wish I had 5, 6, 7 chicks asking me out every year. Or hell, every decade. But you don't. Well, I said before, they're able to make themselves victims for like in any circumstance. Like they like a woman could win $1 million and she'd be like, "Oh my god, somebody help me! All these coins." All they do is play victim and act like the worst things are happening to them. Like again, imagine how insane a man would look if he's like, "Oh, I'm so sick of all these chicks asking me on a date." People would look at him like he's crazy, or they'd accuse him of being gay, which they love doing. And it's very ironic too because the way a lot of these guys act when they're defending chicks, you would think they're like I'm sorry, I'll never understand what's straight about a man looking at another man and saying, "Oh, since I don't find you physically attractive, no woman could." It's like what the hell is that? Just like I hate the out of your league stuff that like pet peeve, but I have never told a single man, whether it's someone I know online or someone I've met in real life, that a woman that he was interested in is out of his league because I don't believe it's my place to determine that. If the woman likes him back, then me thinking that has no bearing. Like I said, I don't go around rating men. Yeah, I'm a little scorecard. Be like, is this person attractive enough for chicks? Like, what would I? What is the purpose of that? You know, it's just it's weird. Yeah, I'm just trying to look on the bright side of my impending termination. I guess at least you don't have to deal with rude customers anymore. But I don't know. It's just like that. The biggest issue for me is still the idea that you just it feels like at each one of these positions, there's always something they can take and blow up enough to be a like a reason to get rid of somebody. So that's why when they were trying to give me assurances of, oh, if you apply to this, no customers. Like, yeah, like at the other one, I think I spoke to the only time I spoke to customers if they get something from in store, and that's very brief, or if they ordered some over the phone. And I still had a guy complain about me because what happens is at that place, I have to like manually enter in the number for someone's credit card, and I don't because it was my first time on the phone. Um, No, Jim, I'm going up there in like 2 hours, but it was my first time on the phone. And I remember on the machine, I think I either click the button too quick or it doesn't let me go back. Like if you make a mistake on someone's card and like want to click back to get rid of that part you made a mistake on. So I asked the guy to repeat it again because I've never used this machine before. And he was like, "You're not listening. Where's the manager?" So there's always but like I said, that was a more minor part, and even then, they still don't forget to stream it. Man, I'm not streaming a six. Was it five? Was it 4, 5, 6 hour shift? If that place closes at 10 and they're having me come up there at 1, because I don't know how long it'll be up there, so I'm probably not going to do it. As in stream it, I'll just do a stream about it probably on Saturday. No, forget that. I tell you that stuff up there is just so sad. Oh, the last hour. Well, I already said I'm gonna every time somebody gets checked out, they're like, "Hey, how are you doing? You find everything all right?" I'm like, "Oh, this is my last day. This is my final appearance." I might just make my voice deeper for the hell of it. Was there that one Spider-Man story where he's like where he's trying to save Aunt May and like he fights Doc Ock and then he gets trapped under the Rumble. It's like issue 33 of the first series. I think on the cover it's like the final chapter. This is the final chapter. I am just here to do my work and get terminated after a couple of weeks because crybabies go on computer and type whiny reviews. Dude, imagine having a website where one bad review is the same as 3 good reviews and tell me that's fair. Like I gave this example before. I could have 12 people say I was good, and if 4 people say I'm bad, they cancel out all the good ones. That's why I said, man, this stuff is just designed like you just can't win with these people. And like I said, if you're trying to get rid of somebody, you'll find any reason to do it. If it wasn't this, it'd be something else. So when I got hired, they sure didn't say. By the way, there's this website where if people go on there and give you a negative review, we can get rid of you for that. Even though they gave everybody else negative reviews. Remember, I don't have plot armor, so I'm the only one that gets harshly penalized for it. So I'm just so tired of this stuff, man. Just Every position is the same. They always make it sound like it's going to be so great being there, and you try as hard as you can. That jacket guy. I'm still laughing at the dude that said I thought you were a customer when I was cleaning the candy. I'm like, what customer comes in a store and does like manual labor for the like for this? Some people are real like they don't even pick up on like stuff employees are doing if they're not in a uniform. It's really nuts. Yeah, that woman said that. It's like, why would a pharmacist just be the cashier? That's like the Walmart CEO being the greeter. It's like, hey everybody, but thanks for coming in. I maintain most customers are not bad, but most customers are also not so benevolent as to like basically if somebody feels vindictive enough, how to explain it? You are more likely to talk about an employee being good or bad if you are like trying to say something nasty about them than the other way around. And the website is directly curated to be that way. One bad review is equal to three good reviews. It just really sucks, man. And like I said, the worst part about this is I believe I tried as hard as I could. I learned all that different stuff for the most part. There were some things I'm still a little iffy on. Um, but they noticed that I was learning most of it. They left me in front by myself for hours on end. Um, I hate it when you apply yourself to something and it doesn't work out or like it's not working out because of like external factors like oh people decide to go on a website and cry about you and they didn't sign up for a program that nobody is buying anyway. Like just man, I don't like now because all it does is reconfirm my bias that no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, I had man told me some woman came up and was like, "Well, he's all right, but there's something off." Like, what the hell are you talking about, you nut? Like, I mean, dude, you're screwed. You can't smile at people because you're wearing a damn mask. They can barely hear you because of the mask and like having this big glass in front of you. So what else are you supposed to do? Oh, people are saying F that program. That's why they only get maybe like three a week. Dude, I told you. Well, it's more nebulous crap. Was he rude to you? No. Was he mean to you? No. I just something's off. Just something. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna be such a giant dick that I'm just gonna go to different places and be like, well, you have this one employee and I don't like them. Is there anywhere I can go online and complain about them so I can get them to lose their position because I'm very miserable and I have nothing going for myself. Remember, they hate to see men succeed. It's the worst thing in the world to them. Jim, all this is teaching me is no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't matter. At both of these positions, you always show up. It's so funny. I remember when I saw what was that Spider-Man 2 for the first time and I was a kid and like at the start of the movie he gets fired from the pizza place because he keeps coming late and the manager says you're not dependable. It's like it's so funny because I always was like led to believe that showing up on time is like a big thing and they need you to be there when they want you when they need you or whatever and like they really do just seek out any old reason to get rid of somebody. So if it's not a website's bad reviews, it's people not signed up for a program or you know, time to be clumsy still around them. I told you about that woman, what was that like 2 Fridays ago that was calling me out of my name just because the machine didn't take her check because nobody uses checks anymore. Like I can literally count the number of people that have used checks, call me an MFer and saying I need to go back to school if I don't know how to count, I don't need this. And I'm just like, like again, they can act any way they want toward you, be nasty, antagonistic, but then if you respond in any way, you're the villain. I remember when I was in like I think sixth grade. Whenever Iron Man 2 came out, I was like in sixth grade. And my dad went to, I think I don't know what fast food place it was, but they gave him some big drink and they barely put the top on it, and he was wearing a white shirt. That drink spilled so much that like when he came to pick me up the next day, he was like he got towels out of like the house to like clean to clean the steering wheel off and like the inside of his car off. He said that shirt was gone. That shirt met its demise. No, they really love doing that where they just like barely put the top on. That poor white shirt. It never saw the light of day again. See, if he ordered some Sprite, that wouldn't have happened. Because Sprite is transparent. Well, that's always why I hate it when people are like I'm generally not going to argue with um like the people who handle my food, and I always hate it when people start like cursing out and getting angry with someone handling their food because it's like I don't want that person to mess with it. Like just relax. Like I guess to me, I just feel uncomfortable being involved with what I think are unnecessary conflicts, and people are just like so rude toward others, like to where they're calling you out of your name. Like I know, like every time I get food from somewhere, I will politely, if there's like a discrepancy with how much I paid versus how much I think it is, I'll like sit down with them and explain. I think it's this way. Like I never go, no, this is incorrect, and I'm not parking over there. Like that stuff makes me just uncomfortable because I don't like arguing with people that you know are in control of what I'm about to eat. Just it's I just hate being involved with conflicts over just I just don't care enough, man. Like people will argue with you over something costing an extra buck. Like I remember it was my second or third day. There was a woman who the item she wanted was like less than $1. It was like 90 or 23 cents or something, and I didn't know how to use the coupons for like I think like you have to like plug it in or something. And she went and complained to this other person and said like it was so funny because she was trying to complain, but also she admitted that because of how cheap it was, she was still going to come back there and buy it anyway. It's like you're upset because a coupon didn't go through on an item that's less than $1. Oh, they love putting ice in those drinks. I remember when I was in 11th grade, my PE teacher, she had she got some cooler and she had Gatorade in there, and one of these guys was like so excited to drink it, and he got like a cup and drank some of it and spit it out, and he said this tastes like a certain word that starts with an S. And, and what we found out was that she watered it down. So like when you have like you don't buy enough to where it fills up the whole thing, you just pour water in there to make it go all the way up. They got so excited to drink watered down Gatorade. I told you there's all kind of little like weird stuff that happened when I was in school. Just like either at school or in some other experience somewhere. Just the insane things you see sometimes. Like I still am laughing at that thing that happened last what was that Monday? Yeah, last Monday with the guy that was trying to return the beer, and like he claimed that he went to another store and they did that, and then he was telling the manager that he probably has more in his wallet than she makes in an effing year, and like was 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 like I can take this since I own this ball, I can take it and throw it against the wall, and like motioned the thing as if he was about to throw it, so as he was leaving. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, if you're like, imagine one like whatever. I'm just people act so angry and upset for nothing. Yeah, go brew your own beer if you're so damn rich. It's weird too because nobody was even accusing him of. You know what it is? Like they just like they infer stuff like it's like $17 beer. It's like no one is saying you can't afford it. We're just saying that we can't return it. I've never seen somebody try to bring back beer before, so that's why I made the mistake of But I'm kind of glad I did ask the manager to deal with it because I wouldn't have felt probably comfortable arguing with that guy over that. Like I said, I just don't like conflict. And when you're dealing with customers, they can argue with you over anything. This item is one more dollar than it said it was over there. I'll tell you, besides him, I've never seen somebody try to bring back. That's like, and that's the worst part about these retails. Like people come in there and they do all kind of crazy, weird stuff you've never seen before. Like I remember I had a line of like four people, and there was this woman, and instead of just giving me the extra dollar to pay for her stuff, she's like pulling out change and pointing at coins to figure out. It's like, and I just like, can we finish this transit? Because you know what they do, right? They complain. I was in line for 2 whole minutes. I was in line for 30 seconds. I just wanted that to be over. Today, change Nazi. I can picture her doing the salute after she gets the coin and going to go read Minecraft. Hell, I feel like I'm a damn war prisoner at this sometimes the way these customers act. I just don't get the point of this shift at all. Like we're gonna tell you. And remember, let's talk what happened on Thursday. You come in the office, manager told you that they've been ordered to get rid of you. They have your last check printed out, and they tell you what you should do, and you don't know what to do because what do you even say to someone who's told that? And that's why I just don't understand the purpose of today. It's like, well, if today mattered, why would they print out the last check? If you have higher up saying get rid of this person, what is one more day going to do to change anything? Like it's just it's such a weird experiment. Like I don't understand it. That's why there was a part of me that was so close to just saying on Thursday, just to hell with it, give me the check, I'm out of here. Because I don't know what else I can do. I'm not excited to go in there and say this is my last day, this is my final appearance. But I mean, should I pretend I'm happy? Like I talk about, I'm able to usually compartmentalize when something bad happens, like outside of work. But this is something bad happening at work. This is something that directly affects my means of income. It's so hard to be happy or excited or in a good mood about this stuff. And you don't take it on random people, but like I don't know if I can even control um not mentioning this like casual, like, oh yeah, this is my last day, final appearance. No more me after this. Go brew your own beer. I don't know what accent I would even be able to pick up. Be like, thank you for shopping at the store. Make sure you come back, but next time I will not be here. This is my final appearance. This is my last day. This week I just got the card for the for like the discount. Like, so I can only use this thing for one day. So I said, I don't understand these places at all. And I'd be lying if I said it doesn't have a long term effect. Like I'm not excited to go and apply somewhere else. Why? So they can either say nothing back, or if they do hire you, they try as fast as they can to fire you. Like I don't understand the purpose of employing people and like knowing that they don't have to do this stuff, or that they have never done this stuff before, and being so harsh as to just terminate them, very quickly. Like it's like they're in a racing game of how many people can we get on here and get rid of. And that's why I said it's just a waste of everybody's time. And if they did this to a woman, people would be sympathetic toward her. They would understand that she had never done this stuff before, and they would think it was wrong to get rid of someone this quickly that's, again, never done these things in the past that you knew of when you hired them in the first place. Oh, it's sad, man. It really is. Oh, did he respond? Oh, he did. What did he say? Let me think of an accent to use. Again, I can't do a British one. I'm just not good at British accents. Maybe I can try to do an African one. I can't wait to ring you up and put your items in the bag. Anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I got like what, an hour and a half before the nightmare, the final chapter begins. So thanks for showing up. I'll do another stream, if definitely on Saturday, but maybe before that. And like I said, people hate when a man succeeds. You know, but let's reiterate a quote I like to use a lot. And they found you amusing for a while, these employers. But the one thing they love more than a good employee is to see a good employee fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything they've told you, eventually they fired you. Why bother?